Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really getting into the life and work of a filmmaker who, well, he didn't just put Indian cinema on the map. He basically redefined what cinema could even be, Satyajit Ray. Our mission really is to explore his revolutionary approach, how he told stories, his impact on social thinking, and why his films still feel so vital today, decades after he passed.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was born in Calcutta, 1921. And his journey from like a graphic designer to this global cinema giant, it's just an amazing story of artistic conviction.
It really is.
So how did this guy from Bengal become this quiet rebel who changed world cinema? Let's start at the beginning.
Well, what's striking right away is that Ray's story is not just him, it's his whole family, his lineage, deeply involved in the arts in early 20th century Bengal.
Right.
He was born into this legacy.
Right.
His grandfather, Upendra Kishore Ray, was this famous writer, illustrator, and his father, Sukumar Ray, a really beloved poet, people called him the Bengali Lewis Carroll. So this wasn't just, background noise. It was the very ground his artistic sense grew from.
And his father died when Ray was really young, just 3.
That's right.
So it was his mother, Superbowry, who made sure the arts were central to his education. And you can sort of see that shaping him later.
Definitely.
Like take his time at Presidency College. He was studying economics, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But it was there, seeing Eisenstein's battleship Potemkin in 1945, that's when the idea of cinema as art really clicked for him. Must have been a revelation.
A huge one. And that was then really deepened by his time at Visvaparada University, Santiniketan, founded by Tagore.
Okay.
Studying there, under the Austrian painter Heinrich Zimmer, he absorbed this whole humanistic philosophy, universal values, balancing tradition and progress, art as a way to understand being human.
So less purely academic, more like a guiding philosophy.
Exactly. It became the bedrock for, pretty much all his films.
And then building on that, he ends up working at an advertising agency, DJ Keemer, as a graphic designer.
Right. Which might sound like a complete detour, right?
Yeah.
From high art.
Yeah, a bit.
But it was incredibly important. It gave him this really crucial training in visual communication, economy of expression, how to get complex ideas across just through images.
And you absolutely see that later. His compositions are so precise.
Every single frame. Nothing wasted.
So his path to actually making films wasn't sudden. It was more like these key moments, these encounters.
A really big one was meeting the French director Jean Renoir in 1949. Renoir was in India shooting The River.
Oh, right.
And Renoir really encouraged him. They talked about cinema for hours. Imagine getting that kind of direct nod from an established master.
That must have been huge.
Yeah. And then the final piece, maybe the most critical piece, fell into place when he went to London in 1950.
Okay, what happened there?
He just soaked it all up. European cinema, De Sica, Rossellini, everything. But seeing Vittorio De Sica's Bicycle Thieves, that was the game changer.
Why that film specifically?
Well, before that, I think the idea was that big stories needed big budgets, big sets,
Sure.
De Sica showed him something else. That profound human truth, told simply, with almost nothing non-professional actors, real locations that could be the most powerful thing of all.
Ah, okay, so it wasn't about scale, it was about authenticity.
Exactly. It basically democratized filmmaking, in his mind, and for so many others who came after him.
So he comes back to India with this fire in his belly, basically, determined to adapt this novel, Pather Panchali, by Bibhutibhushan Bandyopadhyay. And this was just completely radical for Indian cinema at that time.
Oh, totally revolutionary. Because it broke every single mold. Indian screens then were, full of mythological epics, urban melodramas.
Very theatrical.
Loud, theatrical, often completely removed from everyday life.
Yeah.
And Ray comes along with this story of a poor rural family seen through the eyes of a little boy, Apu. Starkly different.
And how he made it was radical too, right?
Yeah, completely. Shooting on location, using natural light, mostly non-professional actors. It had this documentary feel, this realism. He was pretty much inventing a new visual language for Indian cinema as he went.
And the story of actually making Pather Panchali is legendary. The struggle.
Oh, the perseverance against just overwhelming odds, financial odds.
I mean, he mortgaged his life insurance, sold his books, his wife's jewelry.
Yeah, poured in every penny he had. The film took 3 years, stopping and starting all the time because the money ran out.
Well, it's either genius or madness, depending on the outcome.
Luckily, it turned out to be genius. His vision just never wavered. And his choices, especially casting, incredible. Karuna Banerjee as the mother. Sarboja.
Mm-hmm.
Kanu Banerjee as the father, Harihar,
Mm-hmm.
and the boy, Subir Banerjee, as young Apu. Their performances are so unforced, so real. They're the heart of the film.
What always amazes me is the look of it, the visual style he and his cinematographer, Subrata Mitra, came up with. Think about it. This was an era of harsh, artificial studio lights. And they perfected this thing called bounce light
Right, using reflectors.
to make it look like the light was just naturally there. In the air of rural Bengal, it creates this softness, this incredible naturalness. It just pulls you right into their world. Studios couldn't do that.
And that technical innovation, it wasn't just for show. It served the film's emotional core, its authenticity.
Yep.
Ray understood that cinema, great cinema, is about capturing these small, true moments.
Like Apu and his sister Durga seeing a train for the first time.
Exactly. That sense of wonder. Or, the sequence of Durga's death. It's devastating.
It is.
But its power comes from understatement, from emotional truth, not from big dramatic gestures. It's quiet, but it just crushes you.
So when it finally premiered, Museum of Modern Art in New York, 1955, American critics who frankly didn't know much about Indian cinema as serious art, they were just blown away.
Completely unprepared for it.
And then it wins the Best Human Document Award at Cannes in 1956.
Which was just seismic. A watershed moment, not just for Ray, but for all of Indian cinema. It put it on the international stage as a serious art form.
And that success, that triumph, it allowed him to finish what many people think is his greatest achievement, the Apu trilogy. Aparhito in 56 and Apur Sansar in 59, completing Apu's story from childhood to adulthood, one of the truly great coming-of-age stories in cinema history.
Aparhito, the second one, takes Apu and his family to Varanasi. And it really explores those tensions, doesn't it? Education versus tradition, ambition, generational shift.
Especially as Apu's schooling starts pulling him away from his mother.
Right. That relationship is so central. The quiet heartbreak of growing up and growing apart.
And you can see Ray's confidence as a director just soaring here. The way he handles the mother's death, for instance, is masterful.
That long shot.
Yeah. She's just this tiny figure against this huge, indifferent landscape. It's not just style. It's like he trusts us, the audience, to feel it through the image itself more than any close-up could convey.
Precisely. Trust in the visual. Then Apur Sansar, the final part, shows Apu as a young man in Calcutta, struggling writer.
Right.
And it dives into love, marriage, responsibility, and then profound loss when he marries Aparna and faces this just unimaginable tragedy.
And it felt groundbreaking then, didn't it? Showing male vulnerability like that.
Hugely groundbreaking. Before Ray, male leads in Indian films were often, stoic heroes. Apu struggles with grief, with fear, with becoming a father. It dared to show a man's full, complex humanity.
That final scene, Apu and his little son walking off together, uncertain future, but hopeful. It just feels like the perfect end note. Resilience.
It really ties it all together. The continuity of life, the cumulative impact of those three films, telling one life story over nearly 5 hours. It's just extraordinary.
It really is.
He created this complete, intimate portrait of a life, but one where the individual experiences reflect these much broader social and cultural changes happening in India.
And proved epic storytelling didn't need huge budgets. It could be deeply personal, human-scaled, and still resonate universally.
Absolutely.
But while the Apu trilogy really cemented his name internationally, his later films showed just how incredibly versatile he was. He absolutely refused to be pigeonholed.
No, he really didn't. He explored completely different genres, different times, different social worlds, always with that same mastery.
Like Jalsagar, The Music Room from 1958, made between Aparhito and Apur Sansar, wasn't it?
That's right. And after the sort of earthy simplicity of the Apu films, he pivots to this opulent, almost operatic world. A decaying aristocrat obsessed with music.
Symbolizing the end of that feudal order.
Exactly. It wasn't just a change of setting. It proved he could handle lavish productions, complex musical structures, just as insightfully as he handled rural poverty. Silenced any critics about his range.
And then Devi in 1960, tackling religious superstition, women's oppression. That must have been controversial.
Oh, it was. But he handled it with such sensitivity. It's a powerful critique of blind faith, but it also acknowledges the genuine spiritual needs people have. It explores the psychology of it all. Very complex.
Then Teen Kanya, Three Daughters in 61, an anthology film.
Yeah, based on Tagore stories. It let him explore different sides of women's experiences in Bengal. Agency, desire, independence. Really quite progressive for the time.
And Churalata from '64, often called one of his masterpieces, right alongside the Apu films.
Definitely. His adaptation of Togoris Nastanir, it's such a sophisticated portrayal of this lonely housewife's emotional, intellectual awakening
Hmm.
and her complex relationship with her husband's cousin. Ray's visual storytelling is just peak level there, that famous opening sequence showing her isolation,
Unforgettable.
and his use of close-ups to show these subtle shifts in her inner state. It really challenged ideas about marriage, about female fulfillment.
So beyond the stories he told, what really set Ray apart was his style, his
Yeah.
filmmaking language. It was completely unique.
It truly was. It's a Ray film almost immediately. That visual economy, that emotional restraint, an almost musical sense of rhythm and pacing.
Economy is a good word. Every shot feels necessary.
Exactly. Functional beauty. Every shot serves the story, but it's also aesthetically perfect. He didn't go for flashy camera moves like many others then. He relied on precise composition, often static shots.
And the backgrounds are always so important.
Integral. Whether it's architecture or landscape, it tells you something about the characters, their world. Ray showed you didn't need constant movement. Sometimes a single, steady close-up or a long, quiet take could say everything.
Yeah, that use of close-ups and medium shots, it feels different in his films. It creates this real intimacy, doesn't it?
Deep intimacy. He wasn't using them just for dramatic punctuation. He used them to reveal psychology, subtle emotions, tiny facial expressions, gestures. You feel like you're right there, understanding their inner thoughts.
And his editing, it wasn't frantic.
No, not at all. He often favored long takes, letting scenes breathe, letting emotions unfold naturally, which was, again, this act of trust. Trust in the actors, trust in the audience to get it without being spoon-fed through rapid cuts.
But he knew when to cut, too.
Oh, absolutely, for quiet impact. His transitions are often subtle, poetic. It gives the films this flowing, organic feel, like lived experience, not just a constructed plot.
And the sound, we talked about the visuals, but his use of sound was revolutionary, too.
Hugely important. He understood sound wasn't just background filler. He used natural sounds, birds, wind, city noise, to create these incredibly realistic soundscapes.
Made the world feel real.
And he knew the power of silence, when not to have sound. Sometimes silence is the most powerful element.
That careful approach seems to extend to how he worked with actors, too.
Definitely. He had this amazing ability to get natural, unforced performances from seasoned pros and from people who'd never acted before.
How did he do that?
It seems it was based on patience, understanding, not barking orders, but helping them find the character's truth from within. And his work with children, just incredible. He captures such authentic childhood moments, set a new standard, really.
Sounds like he was a real collaborator, too, that partnership with Subrata Mitra, the cinematographer.
Crucial. They produce some of the most beautiful images in cinema history. And together, yeah, they developed that bounce light technique we mentioned. Became his signature look for a long time.
But beyond all the technique, the style, what makes his films truly great, I think, is that profound humanistic vision.
Absolutely. That's what elevates him. He used cinema as this lens to explore social issues, cultural shifts, but always through the filter of universal human experiences, with such empathy.
His social commentary, it's always there, but it's subtle, never preachy.
Right. It's embedded in the personal stories. The character struggles reflect these bigger social conditions. So the films feel intimate, but also incredibly relevant. That theme of social change is constant.
You see it everywhere. Characters caught between tradition and modernity, like in the Apu trilogy, Jalsagar, Mahanagar, the big city.
Exactly. And his treatment of women was so progressive, even groundbreaking for the time.
Yeah, that stands out.
Indian cinema back then often had very limited roles for women. Stereotypes. Ray created these complex female characters, yearning for independence, for self-discovery. Like in Mahanagar, Charulata, Devi, he explored their inner lives with unprecedented depth.
He tackled class and economic inequality with that same sophistication too, didn't he?
No easy rich versus poor stories. He looked at the complex relationships, the often painful human cost of economic change.
Yeah.
Kanchunga, looking at the moral compromises of the elite. Or Ashani Sanket, Distant Thunder.
Both the Bengal famine, harrowing.
Absolutely harrowing.
Yeah.
Showing the human cost with devastating authenticity.
And yet he was also respectful of tradition, wasn't he? Even when critical.
Very nuanced. He could critique blind faith, like in Devi, but he always recognized the genuine spiritual and cultural needs behind those traditions. His humanism just extended everywhere, to childhood, family, celebrating resilience.
It's amazing how these films, so deeply Bengali, feel so universal. He made Indian stories relevant to everyone.
That was his genius, connecting the specific to the universal.
So as Ray moved into the 70s and 80s, he just kept going, kept exploring. New genres even.
Incredible versatility. He ventured into popular genres with his Feluda detective series,
Yeah.
based on his own hugely popular books.
Oh, right. He wrote those too.
Yeah. Starting with Sonar Kella, The Golden Fortress in '74. These films were great fun adventure, humor, mystery, but he never compromised his style. Careful character work, visual sophistication. Sonar Kella is gorgeous, set in Rajasthan. Shows he could do spectacle, but never let it overwhelm the human story.
And then he did science fiction. Seriously.
Well, sort of. Harak Rajardesh, The Kingdom of Diamonds, in 1980. It's a musical fantasy, a sequel to an earlier film, Gupi Yin Bagabain.
Okay.
But he used the fantasy framework for this incredibly sharp political satire, a critique of authoritarianism, really relevant during the emergency period in India. Very clever.
But he also kept making really serious dramas.
Oh, yes. Films like Seema Bada, Company Limited, on corporate corruption, Ashani Sanket, the famine film we mentioned, Garber, The Home in the World, in '84, tackling nationalism, personal relationships during the Swadeshi movement. His range was just unparalleled.
What really strikes me, though, is that he wasn't just a director. He was so much more.
A true Renaissance man,
Wow.
absolutely. His talents went way beyond directing.
Like his graphic design work, those book covers, film posters, they're iconic. They really influenced Indian graphic design.
Hugely influential. And his music. He
Yeah.
composed the scores for many of his later films himself, perfectly suited to the mood, the narrative. How many directors can do that?
Very few at that level. And he was a major writer, too.
Hugely popular writer. Those Feluda detective stories are classics in Bengali literature. And his children's stories, Professor Shanku, Gupi, and Baga, beloved by generations.
And a film critic himself.
Yeah, wrote essays, collected in books like Our Films, Their Films, gave amazing insights into his own thinking, his understanding of cinema as art. He even edited most of his own films.
Wow.
Knew exactly the rhythm, the pacing, the impact of every cut. He was involved in everything. Often
Yeah.
his own cinematographer, too, in later years. Total filmmaker.
So that international recognition that started with Pathar Panchali at Cannes, it really opened doors, didn't it?
It really did. His films were among the very first from India to get significant distribution abroad. Showed a completely different side of Indian cinema to the world. Nuanced, artistic,
And the critics loved him. People like Pauline Kael, Truffaut.
overwhelmingly positive reception. They praised the humanity, the visual beauty, the emotional depth. His films felt both culturally specific and completely universal at the same time.
And that must have inspired so many other filmmakers, especially independent ones.
Absolutely. He basically asked and answered a huge question. Can you make truly great cinema with limited resources? His answer was a resounding yes.
Yeah.
His whole approach, non-professional actors, location shooting, creating authentic atmosphere, became like a blueprint for art cinema worldwide.
And the influence on other major directors is clear. Kurosawa called him the greatest of his generation.
Kurosawa, Scorsese, Abbas Kiarostami, they all acknowledge his impact. He really helped establish world cinema as a legitimate, respected category.
And that legacy is being preserved, right? There are efforts to restore his films.
Yes, thankfully. Major organizations like the Academy, the British Film Institute are involved in restoring and preserving his work, recognizing its huge importance for future generations.
So here we are, more than 30 years after his death in 1992, and Satyajit Ray's influence just seems to keep growing. It hasn't faded at all.
If anything, it feels more relevant. His technical innovations, natural light, location shooting, authentic sound, they're just standard practice now. Good filmmaking practice.
Right.
And ironically, digital technology has made his kind of low-budget, high-impact approach even more possible for filmmakers everywhere.
And that humanistic vision,
It
it feels so needed today, doesn't it, in our often divided world?
Definitely. His ability to find universal themes in specific cultures offers this incredible model for treating differences with nuance, with respect. He shows us how to connect.
His impact on Indian cinema itself continues too, obviously.
Well, for sure. Directors like Rituparno Ghosh, Aparna Sen, Anurag Kashyap, you can see his influence in their ambition, their focus on complex social issues, and especially his female characters.
Yeah, the complex women.
They really paved the way for more realistic, intelligent portrayals of women in Indian film.
And it's fascinating that his films are taught in film schools all over the world, not just as history, but as fundamental craft.
Exactly. They're used to teach the basics of cinematic art. Performance, visual storytelling, sound design, it's all there. A masterclass in every film,
And now with streaming, they're so much more accessible. New audiences are discovering him.
which is fantastic. It leads to this constant rediscovery, renewed appreciation. His quiet genius keeps finding new viewers.
Behind the public figure, though, there was the private man. His life had its own rhythms, its own struggles.
hmm His marriage to Bijoya Das in 1949, that was a real partnership. She was apparently crucial support, emotionally and practically, through his incredibly demanding career.
And their son, Sandeep, became a filmmaker, too.
Born in 53, yeah, carried on the family legacy, which must have brought Ray a lot of satisfaction later on.
But he had health problems later in life, didn't he?
Yes, he had a serious heart attack in 1983 while making Gorbear. That definitely slowed him down, impacted his intensity, but he kept working.
Amazing.
Completed his last film, Agantuk, The Stranger, in 1991, just a year before he died.
And his relationships with his collaborators seem to have been really strong.
By all accounts, yes. Deep mutual respect, real friendship with actors like Sumitra Chatterjee, Madhabi Mukherjee, crew like Subrata Mitra, his editor to Dulal Dutta, speaks volumes about him as a person.
And he stayed pretty modest, didn't he, despite the fame?
Remarkably so. Deeply connected to Calcutta, to Bengali culture, he used his reputation not really for himself, but to promote Indian cinema, support younger filmmakers.
And thankfully, he received that major recognition towards the end, the honorary Oscar in '92.
Just weeks before he passed away, acknowledging his rare mastery and profound humanitarian outlook. A perfect, fitting tribute.
So as we wrap this up, it feels really clear why Satyajit Ray matters so much, why his films still resonate. His work asks these huge questions, doesn't it? About art, society, what it means to be human.
Questions that are just as urgent now, maybe even more so than when he was making the films.
His commitment to authentic storytelling, it feels like such a powerful antidote to so much superficial entertainment today.
It really does. He proved definitively that audiences will engage with complex, thoughtful work if it's done with skill and insight.
And his way of tackling social issues, it's a model, isn't it, for how to address serious things without preaching, without simplifying, always allowing for nuance, for the messiness of real life.
Exactly. Ray reminds us, I think, that in this age of incredible technology, the most powerful tool is still the human heart. The most amazing special effect is genuine human emotion.
That's beautifully put. Great art doesn't get old, it just gets richer.
It becomes more precious. You see new things every time.
So we really encourage you, the listener, if you haven't already, discover his films or rediscover them. They're widely available now.
Each viewing really does reveal new layers, new beauty.
His work just keeps reminding us of our shared humanity, those experiences that connect us all, across cultures, across time. The master's vision lives on.
It truly does, inviting us to look closer, feel deeper, and understand more.